Hello and welcome to today's video. Today's video is 31 Days of Halloween, Day 28, Black Cat Witch. To start things off, I'm going to build an armature for this character, and I decided to use these Funko Rock Candy figurines as my base. I like to use something to help me get the proportions right for the arms and the legs, and I know these aren't necessarily totally accurate because they're a little deformed, but I kind of like this style. So that's something that you can use, as a reference point, is to use like an action figure or statue that you're happy with the proportions of and try that on your sculpture. Now, this sculpture is the winner for the monthly mashup for October 2019, and it was actually a four-way tie. So I took the four choices that were left and put them in a poll in the Aces of Clay Facebook group. So if you're not familiar with that group and you like sculptures, definitely check it out. You do have to join to see posts, but it's a pretty easy join process, and it's an incredible group. If you're already part of the group, please leave a comment down below and let me know. It's great to spread our community, and it's a wonderful group, so I'm definitely happy to be part of it. So now I am just covering my armature with the black Primo Sculpey, and I just made the tail, and then I'm going to go ahead and sculpt the rest of the figurine and add some texture. Since it's supposed to be a black cat, I want to give her kind of a fur texture. She doesn't have a long fur, but you want to have some texture to her because it's not skin. So you don't want it to be smooth. I want to kind of have it nice and rough. Just going to go through and finish up the details for this, and then I'm going to bake this because I want to be able to add the rest of the sculpture without worrying about distorting anything. So before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and make her eyes. That way when I place them into the head, the eyes are solid, and because they'll be baked, and I don't have to worry about them distorting. So I'm going to give her some green eyes, and I have some green and pearl mixed together, and then I'm just going to I'm going to use my little rock candy figure there to get about the scale, because they have a little bit bigger eyes too. And I'm going to take some black clay and make little slits there for the pupils. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and bake my armature so far and my eyes. I'm going to bake it according to package instructions. And once this is cooled down, I can go ahead and move on and make her broom. So I wanted to have her holding a broom. It took me a while to decide what I wanted to do with her, and I had some help from a co-worker. And so I thought I liked the idea of the broom that, she had come across. So I thought I'll go ahead and stick with that. I wanted her to be, witch-like, and you always think of brooms and the hats and different things. So I'm using a wire, and I covered that with the brown clay, and so actually a brown and dark brown mixture. And then I took some yellow and white and some brown and mixed it for the base of the broom. And I thought that was a little bit too long, so I cut some of the excess off. Now I'm going to go ahead and mix some black and silver together and make a couple of rings, or like some wire that would bind that straw together. So I'm just wrapping that around. I'm going to do that twice. Get that all smoothed in there. And then I'm just going to add a few more little textures. Just get it nice and even. I don't want it to look, too perfect because it's, this rough broom that the witch has. Now, I wasn't happy with the tail. I thought it was way too long. I wanted it to come all the way down so it would give her some support, but it looked out of place, the length of it. So I cut off some of it, and now I'm building that back up. Well, I will. I'm going to go ahead and do her toes first. And so I'm just adding her toes, and then I'm using the ball tool to smooth those into her feet and add the texture to it. Now I'm going to go ahead and finish her tail again. So I still want to bring it up a little bit so it has, like cat's tails kind of flop around when they're laying on the ground there. So I kind of wanted to have it like it was curved and brought up. Now before I bake that, I'm going to go ahead and make her whiskers. So I just had a mixture already mixed of pearl and translucent. So I'm going to roll that out. I don't know how many I'm going to need, so I always make extra, and I can use them in another sculpture of some kind. I have a little container that I keep all my little baked parts in. So it looks like plenty, so I'm going to bake this according to package instructions. So the next thing I'm going to do is sculpt her arms. So I'm using this Rock Candy Spider-Gwen figure to get my proportions of my arms how I want it. Since both those arms of hers are bent, and that's what I want to do with mine, not in the same pose, but it works really well so I can mark where her elbow's at and get the length of the arms. So I want her to be able to hold the broom out in front of her. So I want to make sure that I can bring those arms in and it looks okay. So what I'm going to do is the same thing as I did before, and I'm going to soften up my black Primo Clay, and then I just cut a slit in it and then wrap it around that wire and then close that slit back up, and then I add the texture for the fur. I'm going to do that again on her right arm. Get that all covered, textured, smoothed in. You want to smooth it in at that shoulder area so when it bakes it looks like it was all one piece. You don't want like a seam line. It's not an action figure, so it doesn't need to have that. And then I kept adjusting it till I was happy with it, and I'm going to put some liquid clay in there to kind of hold that in place so it'll bond those pieces together. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and bake it again according to package instructions. And once it's cooled down, I'm going to start making her little fingers. So the arms themselves are attached to that broom, and I just added some little balls of clay to make her fingers and textured those, and now I'm using some foil to make her head. So I wrapped the foil with some black Primo Clay. Now I'm doing her eyes, so I did the indentions with the ball tool, and then I'm smoothing it in the back of her head to kind of bond that area. And I need to go ahead and make those eye sockets a little bit bigger, and then I pushed my eyes in there, and then I'm rolling out some small snakes of clay to go over the eyes for her eyelids, and then I'm just smoothing that into the head so it looks like it's all one piece. I'm going to do that again for her lower eyelids. Roll those snakes, apply it, take my small ball tool and add some texture, and now I can go ahead and move on and do her mouth. So one thing I do apologize for, but there's nothing I can do about it, is it's really hard to see a lot of the details when sculpting with this black clay like this, but hopefully, you can see it good enough to know what's going on. And I also went ahead and sculpted her ears. I did 2 little triangles, and now I'm going through and adding the texture. So once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and build up her mouth area again, add some more texture. Now I'm going to go ahead and add her whiskers. So I'm cutting these in half, and I realize those look way too long and they're probably just going to break off. So I cut them down again. I'm just going to do 3 on each side, and like I said, I'll save those extra pieces for some other project. Now I am happy with how that looks, so I think I'm going to touch up the details, and now I'm going to go ahead and bake her again according to package instructions. Now the last thing I need to do for her is make her hat and her cape. I had this blue glitter clay by Primo. It's like a Primo accent, so I thought that would work well for her hat. So I'm just going to go ahead. I cut 2 holes in it so her ears would pop out. I thought I like that look. I looked at a lot of reference pictures, and some of them, like it would hide the ears, and other ones they'd pop out. And I like the look better of the ears popping out. So I went with that. Now I'm just rolling out some more of the blue glitter clay for her cape. I'm going to go ahead and adjust it. I kind of pinched the edges there so it's not as noticeable that it was cut with an X-Acto knife. And again, it's kind of hard to see from this top-down view, but then I'm going to go ahead and add just like a cord. It looked kind of boring how it was, so I kind of rolled it with another piece. And the last thing I want to do is add a crescent moon to her hat. I thought she needed something on the front there. So I'm just smoothing that in, and I chose green. And now I'm going to go ahead and bake her one last time according to package instructions. So the last thing I want to do is add a little bit of gloss to her. So I want to gloss her nose so that stands out as, a little bit different than the rest of her. And then, of course, I want to gloss her eyeballs. Kind of give them that wet look that they should have. So I'm just going to go in there with my Sculpey gloss. I've got a very small brush that I'm using for this. That way, hopefully I don't mess up and get gloss somewhere it doesn't need to be. So I'm going to just touch it up. once we're done with that, and I think that looks good, we're going to go ahead and set her aside. I'm going to let her dry overnight and make sure she's completely dry. And now we'll take a look at the finished Black Cat Witch, which is the winner of the October 2019 Monthly Mashup Challenge. Now with this close-up view, you can definitely see the difference that the gloss coat adds to that nose and to her eyes. They really make them stand out against the rest of her. And you can take a good look at that blue glitter for her hat there. Gonna look all the way around. You can see her little tail peeking out there, but see how nice that glitter looks on her. Get a good look at her broom. See that little rope I did underneath her neck to kind of hold her cape on. And then you can see the flexibility there in her whiskers. Primo does have some give to it. It's not super brittle. Sculpey 3 is a little more brittle, but a little easier to work with. They're kind of a trade-off on those. So I do use Primo a lot because of that extra durability, but I do like Sculpey 3 because sometimes it's really hard on my hands to sculpt with Primo, especially when you sculpt a lot. So it's kind of nice to go back and forth between the two. All right, we'll take a quick look at the detail there on the broom. You can see how the different browns are swirled in there, and then with that sculpting in that I did with the needle tool. I can get this to focus back on her. Well, thank you for watching today's video. If you haven't seen my other Halloween videos, I do have a Halloween playlist down below. I also have a new Halloween video tomorrow. So thanks for watching, and remember, never stop creating. Bye.